Um, I have never in my life, as soon as I opened Dixie's picture, it was like this wave of energy hit my heart chakra. And I'm like, oh, that cat's from Orion. Like, that is not a cat. Like, that is
I think I
some.
saw that last week. I was like, she tells everybody she talks to. She's not a cat.
It's funny, like, even when I look at her face, it's almost like I've got her picture pulled up here. Yeah, I'm like, it's just. I think of like the movie like Men in Black with like these giant beings, and then there's like this little alien inside, like doing all of the things. That's a powerful cat. I mean, like as soon as I looked at her, it was just shocking, like in a
That's so
beautiful
funny.
way. So there's something about her color too that's really she wants to talk about. So
Ooh,
this will be
okay.
totally fun. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll just say a prayer and open sacred space. And then what I do is I'll do a heart connection with Dixie and with your energy field, and we'll just see what comes through.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'll have you can go ahead and close your eyes. And I'm going to have you just breathe with intention. We'll breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just asking that there be harmony within your energy field. Asking that any of your guides, any of your allies, whether they be animal, mineral, of the earthly plane, of the fairy realms, any of your beings who wish to come forward on your behalf, I'll allow you just to take a moment to connect with them. And I'm going to go ahead and say a prayer. Dear Mother, Father God, we ask to be cleared and cleansed in the gold radiant light, the crystal red energy of the Earth Mother, and in the rose magnificat. We seek communion and the grounding of that communion for the alignment of all of the selves throughout the universes. And we open ourselves to those beings of light who work with us for the co creation of heaven on earth. In the name of Jesus Christ and our own Christed consciousness, we command any and all negativity to be removed from here, encapsulated in its own light, surrounded by the ultraviolet light, and return to its source of emanation, never again to reestablish here in us or in anyone. And for this we give thanks. We ask to be filled and surrounded by the divine white light, the green healing light, and the purple transmuting light. We ask that our homes and spaces be filled and surrounded by the light of the Christ and the six-pointed star of golden light. I seek to be used as a channel of healing, love, light, and information within divine will for Amy and Dixie's highest good only. And I accept those beings of light, our guides and our teachers, those who work with us and through us, and I accept only those beings who walk and work within the Christ light. Amen, amen, amen. Okay, so I'm going to call Dixie in. So Dixie, she comes in like so readily and so clearly. She comes in with so much joy. I can't help but like giggle a little bit and laugh when I connect with her energy. So I call her and she shows herself surrounded by a triangle. And a lot of the animals show me that this triangular shape, it's called like what I call the triangle of receptivity. So it is the sacred geometry of the triangle, and it is what I use to call her in. And she's really pointing to and illuminating the purpose and the point of this triangle. And when we say the point, we mean the purpose. But she is pointing to the 3 points and the unity structure and the stability that is created within the structure of the triangle. So she comes in with this message and she's pointing immediately to the color of her coat. And she's saying, don't I look like the universe? And she's saying she's really proud of herself that she picked this coat and this hair color on purpose. She said, and it is really indicative. And she showed me right away the importance of the Orion constellation, the planet of Orion, and why that is so important to her. And she's pointing to the golden color in her coat. And she's saying that the color gold with Orion, it holds great significance. And she's pointing to you, Amy, as well, and saying that there is great meaning and significance with you, with the earth. And when we look at the purpose and the properties of gold and how gold has been used, she's really asking you, if you haven't already, to explore ancient Egypt. and how gold was used to, much like a crystal, even though it is not crystalline in structure, there is great alchemy for you in looking at gold. How was gold? And she's saying this is something for you to research. It's like she's saying gold was very much like a crystal, like there are messages and wisdom embedded in gold, and there is something there that is ripe and rich for you moving forward. And again, she's pointing to I don't know if you're near the Beartooth Mountains in Montana. Is that a mountain range up by you?
It is, yeah. It's a little further away from. It's a number of hours away, but
Okay, okay. So I'm just asking her why. What is the importance there? There's something sacred with the land, and anyway, she's. I think we'll circle back to this, but there's something with gold in the Beartooth Mountains. So I'm gonna just we'll kind of put that to the side and come back to that in a minute. But she's really coming forward with Orion. Like, why is Orion so important? And she's saying, so when we look at Orion as a constellation point in the universe or in the galaxy, we could say that there's great importance for humanity at this point to understand the tragedies that happened in Orion and the mistakes that were made, and why it is so imperative that beings like Dixie, and she's saying, I am a being, I am not a cat. The cat is merely this fluffy, furry, cute suit that I am wearing to encapsulate all that I am. But she's saying, and really pointing to this deep divine anchor. And she's saying it's no accident that we ended up in Montana, in that there is a resurgence of human spirituality and of human consciousness that is taking place in areas not only on the planet, but in this country. And she's saying lesser known states, we could point to 5 to 10 years ago, people wanting to live in a place like Montana, Idaho, Wyoming would have been seen as, we could say, less than. It would have been less desirable than other areas. But she's saying there's a great emergence and a resurgence of authentic capital S spirituality on the planet. And it is so important that these cosmic and these divine energies be anchored in a place where they can be deeply supported by the land. So she's really pointing to it is no accident that she is this great cosmic being who watched Orion literally implode. We could say all that Orion was, we could say that whole solar system, star system, much of it was destroyed on behalf or at the hands of the beings that inhabited it. And she's saying Earth has really been in a choice point of do we allow humans, and when she speaks of Earth, she's speaking of the consciousness of Mother Earth and all that Mother Earth is. There was also a choice point of do we allow humanity to literally implode? Now, the spirit of Earth never, she who we could say the sacred feminine that she holds or beholds never had any intention of actually being obliterated or destroyed, but there was absolutely a choice point for humanity to proceed or to be stopped. And so Dixie's coming forward. She's saying, why is it important that I'm here and beings like me are here right now? And she's pointing to there is this cosmic emergence, this cosmic opening that's beginning to happen onto the planet where the hearts and the minds and the intelligences of all humans are being opened to we are so much more. And if we are to save ourselves, which she's saying we already have, we have already crossed a threshold that we could say that all actually will be well. It's just a matter of how bumpy will the ride be from here to there. So she's saying that I, as a being, watched and I don't know how to say this, she's pointing to master and commander. So we could say that Dixie as a soul, when I don't know, she just makes me smile. She was like, when I was on Orion, she really worked on behalf of all that was good. And she said she worked very hard and she was in a more humanoid type body. So she's not always been in the body of a cat. But she said that she worked very hard to save the beings who were working on behalf of the divine light on the planet. But she said, there were darker forces at play. We could say it was a bit of a galactic battle, and so much was destroyed. So she's saying it's so important for her. She's anchoring the heart and the purity of truth, of divine cosmic light, and helping. Literally, she is like a way shower for humanity and for all of the animals, actually, on the land that you inhabit. So we could say that she is a cosmic anchor, not only for you, Amy, and for your husband, for all that, but for all who come onto your land and all that you are creating on your land. And she's saying she does work a little behind the scenes in creating this coherence on your property that is felt through your podcasting, through your social media, and through any other YouTube media channels that you wish to provide. So we could say, she's saying I'm a bit of a transducer. So she pulls this deep cosmic wisdom, this cosmic knowledge, this deep cosmic remembrance, not only for herself, but for you, Amy, and it is being anchored through the earth. And she's really illuminating to you. And it's so interesting. She's showing me your feet and you walking on the earth. And I see this image of your feet and they transform into Bigfoot feet. And I know you've spoken a lot about working with your Bigfoot guides, but she's saying you anchor this beautiful, deep, rich wisdom here on earth. So never undervalue all that you are and all that you are currently doing. And she's saying she's showing me you with the Bigfoot feet because as you walk barefoot on the earth, there is big energy that is transmitted and run through your being, through your body, down into the earth. And there's this beautiful reciprocal relationship between you and the earth that so this image I get of you, Amy, is we could say there's this very divine energy that comes through your crown chakra, is run through your feet down into the earth. You have like this alchemy with the spirit of Mother Earth, and then it comes back up and out of you, and it is moved through your voice and transmitted to others. So Amy, we could also say that you too are a transducer or a transmitter for divine and cosmic truth. Okay, do you have any questions?
It makes me laugh.
I know. So she's very, I have to say, like, it feels like the information's all over the place, and sometimes I have to keep my eyes closed because it just keeps me anchored in the energy. But there's a lot to both of you. So we could say that the two of you are actually very holographic and have worked together in many other incarnations before Earth. So you guys work like transmitters or transducers to one another, and it's like you guys are actually, you and Dixie are actually harmonizing off of one another. It's the best way I can put it. But it seems very important. Have you worked with gold before, or like the alchemy of gold?
A little bit, but I haven't gotten that deeply into it.
Okay. So it feels like a big call. There's something there about like how gold was used in Egypt, and it's in no way like how we in this space and time. I mean, obviously we view gold as a precious metal, but it feels like there was literally like it was used for like mental time travel. There was like a very deep, there's just so much more there that I think that wisdom is really in your soul. So maybe doing some journeying with like the essence of gold and the alchemy of that. I feel like it's going to open a huge door for you.
Yeah, when you first said it, what immediately came to mind was a one of the Dolores Cannon channelings or something, and I will have to go back because it's been years since I've heard it, but it like came right back to mind.
Okay.
And it had something to do, like, obviously it was a channel message for a client of hers, but in Egypt, and it was about gold and how they worked with gold and what gold was that other than a precious metal, but I can't remember the details anymore, so I'd have to go back and look for it.
Yeah, and well, do you have any questions before like we can kind of go back into that?
I don't think the only thing, well, and we'll see if we get back to the mountains at all. I wrote down which one, the Beartooth, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're quite a bit south, but I have to look on the map because I've been kind of working on this like energy line that goes over our property, but also goes through where this whole line of like dolmens and megaliths and sacred sites are around Helena and Great Falls. And I wonder if that line continues through the mountains. It may. And I have some theories about how this all connects. And there's a whole different book that I read about the Templars, where they mention like and I can't remember if it was gold specifically or treasure or something like that, which
Okay.
I take as a metaphor, not as
Hmm.
literal
Okay.
treasure, but like at the foot of the mountains, like kind of in that area. So I'm just wondering if that like maybe this line that I'm working on that I keep feeling like there's more there, there's more there, there's a reason I'm on it, there's something, but I haven't put all the pieces together yet.
Yeah,
So
there's like I see a guide and it's very indigenous American. So we'll go back in and see what that's about because it feels very important and it feels like you'll go there at some point, but there's like a big magnetic draw for some reason, like gold uh factors in here. So
yeah, and I'm actually
okay.
just so I can know for sure, I'm gonna look on the map really quick, like
Okay.
where I think I know where they are,
Yeah.
but I haven't been there, and I think they're further south than the area I've been working on. So I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Red Lodge. Okay, the Beartooth Highway. Yeah, I knew it was all the way south, like along the border, but in relation to probably closer to other, the corridor of light.
Oh, cool.
It might be on that line.
Okay.
Yeah, they definitely could be on that line. So,
Okay.
okay.
And it also, yeah, it feels like, so I get this really beautiful image of you too. And I'm sure you have felt this. I don't feel like this is, or at least on a soul level, you're so comfortable with this, but I see like this column of light, like this divine light comes through you. So we could say like all of your chakra systems are very attuned to harmonizing the energy between like the heavens and earth. So I see like this energy coming through you, anchoring down into the heart of Mother Earth. There's like this alchemical process that happens, and that energy then runs back up through you, and it gets literally delivered through your voice out through humanity. So we could easily say that you are not only a mouthpiece for the divine, but also for the spirit of Mother Earth. But there's, and again, I feel like there's something here with gold and alchemy. There's like this alchemical thing that happens where, Amy, we could say like you really are this middle point for the harmonizing of these two energies. And it really feels like your whole being, your physical body has this ability to take these two energies and to really step them down and then send them out in a way that is very receptive to humanity. So we could say that you have the ability to not be overly consumed or blown up by these intense energies, and you have this very beautiful ability to send them out to others in a way that is very readily received without great disruption to the internal structures of another being. Okay. All right, Dixie. Let's so cute. She's like a little guide. I just want to ask her about her ears and her hearing and just see if there's anything important to know about that. I believe it's actually fairly common for calicos. I don't know this off the top of my head, but she's kind of pointing towards being a, well, I guess she's technically a tortoiseshell, but there's something in those lines where I think there is a high propensity for having sensory issues, so being deaf. But she's pointing to the why, like why she is. She can hear. There are certain. You are right. There are certain like higher frequencies that she can hear, but she said it's so important for her being. It was on purpose, we could say, that there is so much that is being run through her and transmitted off of her being that it was easier to have some of these, I don't fully understand this, but some of these sensory inputs and outputs permanent, well, not permanently, but we could say in the sake of this life, disabled. So she's saying, on one hand, the hearing is not important. It's not critical. It was also, she's saying, thank you. It may not always seem like it in the moment, but the fact that you guys do keep her inside, you do allow her to go outside and to have very normal cat-like experiences, she's very grateful for that. She's saying, you know, she doesn't fully identify with a cat body, like that's not her primary, it's not the physical form that she's chosen over and over and over again. She actually shows me more, she's more comfortable actually in spirit form than physical form. So she said this body was very safe. It was a very safe way. And she said it's actually very important that the two of you be in close proximity to one another. There is a great synergy that happens between you. So it is by perfect divine design that she doesn't even call it an impairment, but we could say this lack of hearing and these sensory issues have forced, force isn't the right word, but it's just brought the two of you together in a more harmonic way. And she's saying the word harmonic is very important. There is a harmonizing of frequencies and energies between the two of you. She says she does often travel into higher interdimensional realms to help pull in the guides and the needed wisdom for you. So she's saying, do not discount me as a great source for you moving forward within your work and all that you wish to do. She's just here. She's like, she's kind of like saluting a little bit, like she's pointing to you again. And she's just saying, like, I'm ready to be of service. So it's really this great service to you. Um, okay, so for Amy, I want to ask, so I'm just going to ask your guides and your higher self to illuminate a little bit about the mountains, your role, anything that we need to know that would help you and serve you moving forward. So, Amy, we could say that you, I see this image of you in many past incarnations. You have always worked on behalf of the light. You have served on many intergalactic councils. I've seen you, I see this image of you on a spacecraft. And we could say it is not a mythical spacecraft, but you have worked on behalf of multiple galactic councils. And we could say that your soul is ancient in origin. I do see an original soul origination in the Andromedan galaxy, which we could say is a galaxy completely separate from the one that we are currently in. And often those from the Andromedan galaxies have a deep anchors into the angelic realms. These are very spiritual, very ancient, very wise souls. And we could say on a soul level, God, this is so beautiful. I see you. You actually worked on behalf and helped create this planet Earth that we are on. So we could say that your soul is so ancient that you have seen the birth of the current galaxy that that you find yourself in this space and time inhabiting. And you were part of the creator beings who helped design and create I don't know how to say this. It's this idea that there was the essence. So we have the spiritual essence of the earth. And we could say this divine mother decided to take physical form into the planet Earth that we now know of today. And Amy, you were on, we could call it a council, but you were part of the creator beings who helped the great mother step into physical form. So we could say, Amy, you at your essence are a creator. And we can look at we can look at this from a completely spherical, multi-dimensional way that we could say your soul is one of creation. We could look at all that you have created and implemented here on planet Earth. We could say that it is so innate to you that it is like breathing. You working with the earth is like breathing. And we would say naturally, of course, you would be here as a mouthpiece for Mother Earth because you on a soul level helped design the beauty and the majesty, and you helped bring her vision to life. That is the important part, that you, Amy, on a soul level, were part of a group of beings who helped bring the vision that the great mother had for her physical form to life. I see you very much working with trees. And I would say, and this is more like on a soul level, I see trees like you were very involved in helping, again, the spirit of trees come into physical form. So does that make sense to you? I hope as I'm transmitting this, I've never seen this in a being before. And I've never seen this information relayed this way, but what's important is to hold or remember this idea that the spirit of Mother Earth was an entity and she decided to take form, and you were part of the group of it's beyond galactic beings. We could say at when Mother Father God split and started to create physical form, you were one of the early beings that were created, and you have helped actually not just planet Earth, but other we could say planet-like structures. You've helped them realize at their essence the physical form that was needed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I mean, it was also making me very emotional feeling like that remembrance and that
Yeah.
connection. And I realized I can't remember where it came from, or like I don't have any frame of reference now of like when I had this, but in the last couple of years, there was some point where I was like, wow, do I remember the earth being created? It was like kind of came out of nowhere,
Wow.
and then there was like no other context to it. So I was like, okay, and I'd forgotten about it until you
Yeah.
just said that. But I had this other, so the image that was coming to me while you were saying that, or kind of what was being shown to me is, and I don't know if you know this whole story about like all the portals that opened here on the property
Okay.
a few years ago. And at the time when they were like very active and there was a lot going on, there were all of these beings coming from all over the universe, like coming in, working, and sometimes they would interact with me, and other times it was like they were just here to do their business. And was like coming to me while you were talking was like those were just all me, right? Like that was just like that
That
was
just like
and
gives me goosebumps.
I was like, and I knew that there were a couple I worked with that I was like, oh, that is another me. But all of a sudden I was like, no, they were all me. And they were all like, it was like they were coming in on that timeline, not this timeline, even though I was
Yeah.
aware of them in this timeline. So it felt like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that was the purpose of all of that, because they kept telling me like to make a map. And I'm like, a map of what? Like to get around, to communicate between these different portals and to be, and now I'm like, oh, they were like bringing it all together in some way and like connecting it to me physically here. So thank you for that, because I just like
I
totally
mean,
everything makes sense suddenly.
that's so cool. And I think what's so interesting for me, like I've never seen that before. And I get this image of here we're in Western Washington, but it's like this image of, when like there's a lot of fog and you're like staring through the mist, but like seeing these trees and like looking down. And I feel like this would make sense in Montana also, but like looking down through the trees, like at a river or a body of water. But it was something like through your being. What's so weird, it's like Mother Earth as a friend. Like before she was in physical form. It's like you see you guys in the spiritual form, and it's like you knew her as a friend before there was anything that we would identify as Earth. And I see this
Beautiful.
image where it's like looking through mist, and it's like through your intention, you helped bring to life her image of what a tree is and what an earth is and what the soil is. It actually makes me really emotional. Um,
It's beautiful.
yeah. So, and it makes me think of, I've just seen a little bit like on Instagram what you're doing, like with the copper and like growing things. So it feels like she's showing me there's something, I don't know if you've thought of it this way, but there's something about those copper rods. It's like doing acupuncture on the earth. It's like anchoring in new energies and like reestablishing and bringing healthy flow to her vitality, not only to her, but to the plants and everything that affects. So I would be kind of curious if you sort of play with it or think of it from that perspective, like if these copper rods almost as being like an acupuncture needle on the earth.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I've kind of seen them almost as like both ways, like that they're
Yeah,
both bringing the energy in, but also that they're like,
right.
letting it flow out as well, kind of like depending on what's needed to make it to balance and to bring it into harmony.
Yeah, yeah.
But that makes sense, that just, and I get the sense that that's even some of the work I do as well, like even as
Mhm.
like being planted on the earth, being that like kind of acupuncture needle.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you are a powerful conduit. So, and also like Dixie pops in as we're talking about this, and she's saying, um, part of her energy, there's something that's being like she holds an anchor, you hold an anchor, and they're, I would say, like harmonizing, like they're very there's a harmonic thing that happens when you and Dixie come together. And she said she's actually worked with you in spirit form for a long time.
Mhm.
So, but there's something again about her, like, being in physical form on the earth that's really important. But there's something about, she's so, she's seen this planet destroy itself, and it's like she holds this energetic template. And she's not just her. There are multiple beings on the planet that are holding this template, and it's basically a blueprint of what not to do. So she's saying there's great importance, in her holding that. But I see like I also see this image of like you on a ship, and like you've had, so I see like the Andromeda galaxy being like, we could say, your soul origination, and then coming into this galaxy. It looks like you've experienced both Lyra and Vega, which are sort of in this galaxy the origination points, so the first two planets of beings. The Lyrans, typically, they walked up on two legs. They were humanoid-ish, but also like if you were to take like a giant cat, but to put them up on two legs. And they, again, as we came onto planet Earth, anchored in the energy, and a lot of those beings are said to have held Atlantis. So these are divine masculine beings that then evolved into Atlantis. But I also see you've spent time with the Vegans. Which very deeply spiritual. A lot of our Eastern religions and what we would know as spiritual forces on the planet come from the Vegans. They do hold that divine goddess energy. And they did come, and what we would know as Lemuria is a very vegan reality that was brought to planet Earth. So I would say, like, within your being, you understand the duality of both. You have spent time on both with both of these galactic beings, understanding their ways. I also see you, it's like you've just been all over the galaxy. I've seen you, in Orion. You helped a little bit with the galactic wars that happened there. And just, again, once it became clear that there was nothing that could be done, it feels like that's when you begin to help the spirit of Mother Earth bring her vision to life. And it really, from what I've seen, and from other channelers that I have read, it really feels like, Earth is this galactic template for us to really, like, for all of these galactic beings. We could say that Earth is really this opportunity to get it right, to step out of this duality consciousness, to come back into unity consciousness in a physical plane. And we would say, albeit everything looks very messy on planet Earth right now, that there is far more good happening on the spiritual plane than bad, and that humanity, we have made that choice actually to prevail. So all is not lost. Okay, let me ask about the mountains, because sort of. So when I tune into the Beartooth Mountains, I do see this indigenous man as a guide, really coming forward. And again, it's this idea of alchemy. There is an alchemy and a synergy of energies that are really coming online. I'm asking him. Okay, I'm really bad at some of these I guess some of these stories, but were the Knights Templar part of the Holy Grail?
Yeah, I think that's all related.
Oh, okay, so he's
Yeah.
saying we would view it on more of not literal, but if we were to take that idea of the Holy Grail, we could say that the Holy Grail lies in the Beartooth Mountains. So there is something. It's an alchemy. There is for you, Amy, specifically. We could say for you, there is a Holy Grail waiting for you in these Beartooth Mountains. And I'm just asking him if there's more information that could be had there. So what it feels like your soul. You see, like these crystals, like this cluster. And I think in reality they're gigantic, but there's like a cluster of crystals like at the base of these Beartooth Mountains that hold like energy that you personally have embedded in the creation of the planet. So it feels like your holy grail. So we could say that your template, all that you are sourcing from, is actually like there's just seems like we could say the metaphorical pot of gold, but it is like this crystalline structure that is embedded with deep divine sacred wisdom at the root of the Beartooth Mountains. And we could say that there is not an urgency for you to go, but it just feels like there's something. It's like I don't understand this, and I think you will at some point. But it's like the gold. Like if we were to literally look at the spirit of gold veins running through the earth, there's something about the synergy between these crystals and gold that's it's like the gold unlocks like some of the messages that are encoded in these crystals. So it feels like you don't literally need a crystal, you don't literally need a piece of gold, but it's working with these two energies. It feels like unlocking some it's like an activation, like a spiritual and energetic activation on the planet. And I see you with like a group of 8 to 10 other beings. They do feel primarily feminine in nature, coming together and doing ceremony on a regular basis in these mountain ranges. um, have you ever been called to do that, like to go to the Beartooth Mountains, or is this
I
totally
really haven't. No, like
okay?
that's why I had to even double check. I'm like, I think I know which mountain range that is, but let me
Okay.
double check on the map.
Yeah, I see like 3 to 5 years. So it doesn't feel like this is something like this year. You've got to like start exploring it. And it does feel like in the sacred chamber of your heart, there's like this understanding of what all of this is. And it feels like this beautiful unfoldment. There's a part of me I'm like, well, I want to go on that journey because it just seems super
You're
fun.
in.
Yeah. But I literally see this gives me goosebumps. It's like you and it I hate to be exclusionary, but it does feel like primarily women. And I do think it's most like all like 8 to 10 women going. And I see it's like a 3 to 5 day like retreat,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like a healing, reconnective, reactivating retreat in these mountain ranges. And I think whenever you do it, it's going to be kind of magical. So,
Sounds magical.
yeah. So it feels like no, because you haven't lived in Montana forever, have you?
No, we moved here almost 10 years ago.
Okay, and was it like very like was there always a calling in your soul to Montana, or did it
No.
feel sort of like straight out of left field? Okay.
Yeah, like we just got placed here. Yeah, it was
Okay.
yeah, we got to a point where we were open to move and we kind of had some general ideas, but Montana wasn't on the radar. We had never been here. We didn't know anybody here. And like a job opportunity just opened up and we were like, well, it checks the boxes. Like
Yeah.
let's check it out.
Yeah.
So
So, because it feels very, one could say serendipitous, but it was also very intentional on a soul level that you
arranged.
guys,
Yeah.
yeah. And have you ever worked with like the spirit of a bear? Like, do you have a guide that's shown up in bear form?
Not recently. I'm trying to think if I've over the years have encountered one. It hasn't been like
Okay.
like a regular guide
Yeah,
if
because
I
I
think
see
about it.
like let me just so the bears, this is actually really cool. They are it's like this open invitation for them to take you on a journey into these like Beartooth Mountains. So that feels very important.
Yeah,
Like
like they're claiming them.
yeah, so it feels like you may energetically and spiritually start. They want to take you like into the earth in these mountains, and they're literally like through a den, going to guide you there. And it feels like you may work with them for a year or two before you physically go.
Mhm.
But it, oh, sorry. But yeah, it feels like there's a lot for them. They're going to like show you the way and they're really going to teach you. And it's like they're literally, when they say they're showing you the way, it's like they're literally going to walk you into like the sacred cluster of crystals that you as a soul level have like embedded in these mountains. So when it
Amazing.
feels right, I would just invite Bear to come and journey with you and just see, what comes forward.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
So yeah, do you have any questions? or anything specifically?
Nothing specific, although I think it's Dixie's. Like I've had the same picture pop into my mind a couple times while we've been talking that doesn't seem related to anything.
Okay.
Maybe she has something to say about it. When we were talking about that we do travel when I sleep a lot.
Yeah.
And I always know when I'm like, oh, the cat was there. So we
Yeah.
were traveling, right? Like it wasn't just a
Right.
dream. Like I didn't just dream of her. We were traveling. Um, but we had there was I don't know how long ago this was, if it was like a year or 2 years ago. There was one I don't remember now what we were doing or what was happening, but we like crash landed back into my body. It's like she was driving a bus that I was in, and we like crashed and I very
Yeah.
dramatically woke up. So, and she's been showing me that, or somebody has been while we've been
Oh,
talking. So I
okay.
don't know if there's something important about like
Yeah.
that mission we were on, or like that
Yeah.
she didn't mean to like, have to rush back so fast, or like what the deal.
How long ago did this happen?
Oh, I'm trying to like place it in context. It was at least a year ago, and it might have been two.
Okay.
I mean, it's been, I can't even remember
Okay.
now, like what happened in that dream or journey. I just like, I keep getting this picture of her, like, careening through space, driving this bus with me in the back seat. Like,
Well, it's so funny because she keeps showing me herself with like an astronaut helmet on, like this, like if you would imagine like a little cat version of like an astronaut helmet. So let me
that's so funny.
let me just ask her what that is. She's this cat is so sweet and she's really funny. Like so, this to me, like she is a little bit of an enigma because like there's a tremendous amount of power to her. Like I mean, like the first time I looked at her picture too, it was like all of this information, but it was also a little bit of like that's a being that's seen some things, and I wouldn't cross that at all. So it's like she holds this,
Definitely that way.
yeah, like this very authentic power, but she's got a sense of humor. So a part of me, like, she's kind of joking. She's like a cat. I'm a cat. I don't know how to drive a bus. Like, so she's being a little funny about it. But I'm like, well, no, but really, like, what is it that you guys do? And she's saying, like, well, you guys got a little outside of your normal territory. So she would say, like, on a soul level, the two of you go on lots of missions. So you guys are scouts for any energies, and it's really looking for transformative healing energies to help the planet. And she was saying, like, we got a little out of our galaxy. And she said, too, when you guys sleep, you step into timelessness, and yet the human body really, excuse me, still works on a linear time structure. So I'm just asking her, like, if she can talk about the actual, like, what is the mission? So literally, like on a soul level, because Amy, I saw you like in the ship, and I think before you came to Earth, like working with a galactic council. So if we were to think of really the galaxy having checks and balances in place, Dixie's actually saying like we are rather cohesive, in our structure. So all of the beings that come together, she's really pointing towards the Arcturians are these high spiritual beings. Again, they're very connected to the angelic and the Davic realms. Are really working overtime to reinvigorate in the hearts and minds of all of humanity the importance of really the divinity of Mother Earth. So she's saying, you guys are literally okay. So it's like going to these different beings like the Pleiadians and the Arcturians are very active with planet Earth right now. Um, she's saying they're actually like anchoring, so they are like journeying onto Earth. And she's saying as much as they're coming to Earth, like you guys leave your body at night. Um, and it looks like you guys are like making a game plan. Like there is like literally a cosmic game plan. But yeah, I'm asking her about the crash. Like, why the crash? Um, she actually shows me you going home, like back to this Andromeda galaxy. And I see this image of the two of you like reveling. The word revel is really imperative here, but really reveling in what it felt like to truly for your soul to come home. And she said, when you spend time in these high spiritual planes, in these higher dimensional realities, she was like, of course, always coming back to Earth feels like a crash landing. So part of the message here to you, Amy, is do not forget the origination of your soul. Do not forget your cosmic roots, and do not forget how anchored in peace you truly are. So she would say the crash landing was a bit of a metaphor. It is a bit of a metaphor for the difference between being in these higher dimensional realms, feeling the sense of unity, the sense of oneness, and then coming back into a duality consciousness on Earth. Even though, Amy, it looks like you really have the ability to dance and exist in a fifth dimensional reality here on Earth. It looks like you've absolutely anchored 5D where you live, and you are rapidly transforming Montana. Montana, as a state and as a region on the planet, it holds such deep, deep beauty, and yet we could say there are still pockets of old humanity existing in Montana. So we could say that you creating fifth dimensional reality on your little plot of land. And we are no way demeaning and saying little, but we could say, in comparison, your little slice of heaven that you have created, it literally is a piece of heaven on earth. So, you rapidly, and we could say, are changing the energetic flow of the grid of Mother Earth, and are alighting the hearts and opening the minds of all who inhabit the area. So we could say this is deep, deep work. It's deep, important work. And, getting out of this earthly plane, exploring these intergalactic realms, and looking for other beautiful energies to anchor on the planet is what the two of you do at night. And we could say you just got, she shows me this image of like, you guys just got really, really far from home. So you guys were like on a little bit of a time crunch, but there was also this crash landing of like being in these really high dimensional energies feels really good, and coming back into your physical body always feels a little bit like a crash landing. um yeah, and so she's also saying, holding that image of her like driving a bus crashing back into your body, though, it also keeps you anchored. So it keeps the physical aspect of you remembering. It's a way of forming a little bit of a question that keeps you anchored on a very unconscious way of the work that you're actually doing at night, and the beauty and the grace that exists everywhere. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does.
Okay, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to ask her if there's anything else that she wants to share. She's saying you're doing great work.
Yeah.
She's saying don't be hard on yourself. I don't know if you are, but she's saying like there are bigger things at play than you can currently see in the moment. And this is actually, it's a message of beauty. So when we say there are bigger things at play, there's nothing here to worry about. But she's saying like you've already surrendered, and there's deep trust on a soul level with the work that you're doing and all that you're creating. But she's really saying like never for one moment feel like you're not doing enough, because she said like your soul is literally working overtime, and there's just so much beauty and grace that you are implanting on this planet. So never forget who you truly are and what it is that you are actually doing. Does she like sit outside in the sun with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's saying like that's like one of the favorite parts of her day. She loves going outside and just sitting in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was asking right to do it right before I had to come in here.
Okay.
Like, you have to wait.
Yeah, sorry. um yeah. Yeah, so she's saying like when people come and stay on your property,
Hmm.
so this is, I mean, I'm sure you know this, but really remembering that you are literally inviting them into a piece of fifth dimensional reality. So we could say people aren't just coming to you for a little respite and vacation. It really is a rejuvenation of their soul. So if you can hold it as such, because they're saying like on a soul level, like your soul is actually calling in the people who come and stay on your property. So really holding it in your mind's eye that this is like soul repair. That's actually really important. When humans who are existing primarily in 3D have the opportunity to touch and stay in a fifth dimensional reality, it is soul repair. So again, that is a big gift that you are gifting humanity, and all of the work that you've done on your land. Um, it's not to heal and repair is not the right word, but you've just helped this area of earth remember the essence of what it really is. And you, Amy, are remembering the essence of who you truly are, as you work through that. And I see like all these Bigfoot like beings, I see them like walking through your trees. And again, it is this message of like you are them and they are you. Uh, yeah, it's a part of you just being very anchored into the mythology of Earth. But see, like at night, sometimes like your soul, like you take up these other bodies, like you play in the fairy realms on Earth. You know, you can be, you know, a Bigfoot, you know, walking through the trees. It's like your soul really has this very full, very rich experience on Earth. You know, you are not your consciousness in no way, shape, or form, but it's like your consciousness is very connected, you know, to all of these beings and all of these incarnations. And yes, we could say that you are all of them, but they are really giving you this really truly like a multi-dimensional experience on Earth, but a very rich experience of all of the beings that inhabit the majesty and the grace of this planet. And we could say, Amy, that it is all part of your creation. So of course one would naturally want to dance in the beauty of all that one has created. So I feel like we're getting ready to close here, but it feels like I get this image of you on a soul level, like you're very whole and complete in like the understanding that you are not limited to this physical body, that you as a soul can, you know, take up the body of a deer or of a bear, you know, while you are concurrently, you know, existing here on planet Earth, and you are really experiencing Earth in every, I mean, truly in every dimension. So I hope that helps, and I hope that makes sense.
That's beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, you're so
Wow.
welcome. So, yeah, do you have any questions or anything?
Well, I mean, it's given me a lot to think about, and there were a lot of
Yeah.
there are questions I have that I had to say, that's actually like that's a good question for us to discuss like on the podcast.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
that are more of the like big picture questions and not so, specific
Okay.
to me.
Okay.
But no, it was really, really beautiful and special.
Oh, thank
And
you so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing all that through.